there is a certain system of personal beliefs that I have, that I employ in my life. For instance, I firmly believe that if you're doing something professionally, the amount of success and fame, if you want to put it that way, you have should depend on how good you are at that thing. And if you're doing something that displays that thing, that talks about that thing, you should be good at doing the thing and talking about the thing. But then again, you're not a mainstream video game journalist. Ugh, fuck. Greetings, ladies and gents, my name is Helzo, the bearded Balkan blabbermouth, and once again we're visiting a story that has been in the works for several months now, through different outlets, through different news media, through different examples, that is trying to push down the narrative that we don't need to, quote, get good at video games, and that video games are probably way too hard for those professional journalists that do demand us believing them when they say if a game is good or bad. That is what they are trying to do, ladies and gents, and they're trying to do it harder and harder and just push that narrative any way they can. The latest article that has to come out is from a few days ago in the amazing website Polygon. That Stranding 2 is way more enjoyable if you skip all the boss fights. Pretend you won? Yes, I think I will. I don't really need to read this article to know what it is about. The moment I saw it a few days ago and the moment I saw other people talk about it, I was like, yeah, I want to put my piece out there about this article and to say what I have to say, hence this video. But before we continue, if you enjoy my content and if you enjoy what I do and if you want to support me, click the like, subscribe button, share this video, and consider joining the DiscussThing Guild by clicking the join button, thus helping this channel grow and helping homeless animals and animals in shelters. I would greatly appreciate it, and I hope I do get to see your support. So this article is basically what you might expect. It's someone by the name of Josh Broadwell who says the pretend you won option in Death Stranding 2 is a small but radical little choice. It pops after you fail a boss fight and lets you skip the encounter entirely with a brief text explainer telling you how things would have unfolded if you won. Imagine that. You fail once at beating a boss that you're seeing for the first time, and the game immediately calls you and says, yeah, you can skip that one. And okay, I'm fine with that. If a game wants to have that option, they're free to have it. I would never employ that option in a video game, but they are free to have it. It's their choice, it's the developer's choice, it's whatever they want it to be. Maybe they wanted to make the people who can't really play video games, who are more on the normie side or just the tourist side, have the access and just enjoy the story. Nothing wrong with that, in the terms that the game is more story oriented than boss fight oriented. However, it's not the same when you're a journo or a journalist that these people like to pretend to be, and you have to make your money reviewing games, talking about games, giving advice about games. It's not the same thing as you being a casual gamer, and this is what we're gonna get from this story as well. It's a brilliant, elegantly simple design choice, and I would be far less keen to keep playing Death Stranding without it. Right off the bat, he's just saying, if the game is hard, instead of me adapting and becoming better, I would just not be playing it because it's not for me. And again, if you're a normie, if you're someone who doesn't want to like challenge themselves in video games to some extent and just wants to enjoy an experience, you're welcome to have that opinion. That's why difficulty levels exist. That's why you have easy mode. That's why you have the easy. And it's perfectly fine you want to experience that level of gaming. However, if you want to have some sort of authority, to be some sort of a person that other people would actually listen to when they're saying their story, you need to have a specific skill set, and that skill set should include you being able to beat a game without handicaps like skipping the bosses. He continues, I'm not saying this as someone who hates boss fights in video games or who usually struggles with them. Actually, that's exactly what you're saying. I beat Mesmer in Shadow of the Earth 3 before from software and I liked it. I'm pressing a huge X for this, and that's why we were saying in previous videos that we want videos of game journals playing and streaming the games before they write an article, because this is something that I would never believe until I see it live. And we continue. I like Death Stranding 2's bosses as well on a conceptual level. Their evocative encounters made all the more impressive by how Kojima Productions turned mechanically straightforward moments into memorable set pieces. They're basic though. If you strip away the emotive music, the sound effect, and the unusual influence some of these enemies have over the environment, you're left with the equivalent of a standard boss fight from any mid-2000s 3D game. A small arena is home to a big boss with maybe 3 attacks, and you attack it, run away, and repeat it. That's it. That sounds like the bosses were too easy for you. You did say you beat Mesmer before he was nerfed, but in the beginning of the article, you said it pops up after you fail a boss fight and lets you skip the encounter entirely with a brief text explainer telling you how things would have unfolded if you won. So which one is it? Is the boss fight someone that makes you fail them? Or is it too easy for you that you're absolutely bored by what I'm reading from your words? It doesn't sound like you have one set of a track mind on this. It doesn't seem to me that you are actually thinking this through when you wrote this article. But again, that is only my opinion. Maybe you get more concise following the article. He continues with some explanation to several boss battles that he encountered. And then we get to this. Maybe it's a skill issue in quote marks. You say, and sure, fine, I'll admit it. I'm not the best at correctly timing a dodge after the camera decides to lock onto the sky, or when Sam randomly takes ages to recover from a hit and can't evade an incoming instant death attack as a result. So I haven't played Elden Ring, and I don't really play the Dark Souls and the Elden Ring and stuff like that, and I would never admit to knowing anything about it, but from what I think is on all the games is that bosses are pretty hard. So again, I want to return to Mesmer, and before he was nerfed. So how exactly did you beat that boss, if I may ask? And yeah, please do correct me in the comments below, because I'm genuinely baffled by this. And the end of the article says this, and that's exactly why Death Stranding 2 is pretend you won button is such a good, necessary choice. It's not a necessary choice. It never is a necessary choice. As enjoyable as some of these battles can be under the right circumstances, this is not a combat game. It's a vibes game and a story game, best played at your own pace. What does a boss battle have to do with your own pace? You can paddle around in every video game and just explore, even limited, and you don't need to rush from one boss battle to another. That sentence made no sense whatsoever. I'm perfectly happy soaking up the atmosphere of a boss fight and appreciate its position in the parade of misery that is Sam Bridges' life once, maybe twice, before moving on, and thankfully Kojima Productions respects my time enough to let me go when I'm ready. I mean, this is such an idiotic article. On one hand, it's too easy. On one hand, it's too hard. On one hand, you're someone who beats Elden Ring bosses like it's nothing. On the other hand, you cannot dodge for your life. So what is the issue here? I genuinely cannot believe that this is a topic that we're speaking about in this day and age of games. You have game difficulties. You have people that play on lower difficulties. You have people play that on the hardest difficulties all the time. So whether or not the balance for some people is harder or lower difficulties, that's not exactly the issue. The issue is when you you have an article that defends skipping an actual portion of the game that actually provides you with an additional escapism from the real world by engaging you in an epic battle. Even if the game is not specifically battle type, you still have that element. It is inserted in the game. You can write that they feel unnecessary. That's absolutely your prerogative to do so. Or you can write that they're badly placed or whatever you felt. But to go and defend an option that basically says you can cut out the difficult portion of the game and just watch a movie at this point. You can just go with the cutscenes, and then you go and write an article about the game and start talking about the game. You haven't experienced the game. You haven't experienced the entire version of the game. You've experienced a portion that you suit. You pick and choose your entertainment, and you pick and choose what you would experience, and then pretend to be an expert on it, or to be someone who actually knows what they're fucking talking about. That's not how it goes. You cannot pick and choose when you do something like this professionally. You cannot simply pick and choose your clients if you're a taxi driver. You cannot pick and choose your cargo if you're a truck driver. You cannot pick and choose the passengers on an airplane if you're a pilot. You cannot pick and choose so many things that it is the most comfortable to do. It is a job. It is something that you have to do, and you have to be good at it in order for your articles, for your content, for everything that you do to be more relevant, to reach more people, and to have people basically respect you. And sadly, with game journals, that is no longer needed. You see articles like this all the time, whether it be on this topic, whether it will be on some other topic, whether it will be praising activism over video game and pretending it's a video game. These things are seeping through to our entertainment more and more and more. And yes, 2025 is currently a great year for video games. We're having a lot of bangers. We're seeing a lot of woke trash just going away and failing one after another. We're seeing the return of a good age in video games. However, we must also acknowledge that these articles are not going away anytime soon. And they're not going away because these people are basically here, and they're basically going to continue write these articles, and they're going to continue get these jobs. And when they get these jobs, people like me and other people will call them out. And if they are not bothered by that, okay, your choice. However, don't think that we're gonna stop. No, we're gonna call out mediocrity. We're going to call out deceitful practices, and we are going to continue talking about and expressing our opinion on stupid practices that continue to happen in video games. And we're not gonna stop, because that is what we like to do. That is because people are good at on YouTube, especially the people like Smash, people like Hypnotic, people like 8-Bit Eric, Hill versus Babies, you name it. They are good at it, and more people are getting into that and becoming good. So the voices are rising, and we're no longer going to stand to mediocrity. We're no longer going to stand to bad games. We're no longer going to stand for just being bamboozled into having a bland, tasteless experience and paying for it. That's not going to happen anymore. Trust me on that. Anyways, that's all I have for this video today. If you enjoy my content and enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Press the join button and become part of the DiscussThing Guild and help the channel grow and help homeless animals and animals in shelters. And please provide me with your opinion down in the comments below. I would be happy to read it. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Helzo. This was DiscussThing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers and stay fresh.